All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome. If you're rejoining us, there was a previous link to this that didn't work, so I'm sending out a new link. We're going to do some Prismanox design today. Let me just share the link out on a couple different channels, and we'll be good to go. Okay. That changes. Okay. All right. Great. My kid is looking at me with a weird look because she doesn't know what I'm doing. Okay, everyone, let's get started. So, Prismanox. I think I've set it up now that I can share my screen, which is, going to be important for us together. Share what's going on here. All right, window, this one. Okay. Over here, I have a tendency to go back and fiddle with pages that are already done. So sometimes I use the big green check mark or the big green circle to stop myself from going back and messing with finished layouts. But for our sakes, I'm going to pull these off so I can show you what we've got going. So this is InDesign. This is the program that I use to lay out stuff and often honestly write stuff in as well because designer and it helps me to sort of see the space that I have to work with. It's also a little bit not great to write everything in InDesign. A lot of times it's better to sort of write it in a Google Doc and then paste it over here. Then you do wind up with sort of spacing weirdness, which is some of what we're going to be addressing today in the design session. Let's go ahead and get these green check marks off, take a look at where we're at so far, and then show you what we're going to be working on now, which is right here. I'll show you more about that in a minute. Okay, all right, great. So, front cover still to be done. Maybe we'll get to that today. Opening spread, we've got this big gorgeous shot, Prismanox, title page. We've got some legalese. This needs to be updated, I think, since it's not on the poster. Contents are still a little bit placeholder. Those need to be finalized. Then you got your introduction. I'm really liking how this layout is working in general. So we had to completely reimagine the layout coming off of the poster for the PDF. And so what we've got is a type system that's a lot like what we had in the PDF, but in the poster, but a little bit different, a little bit cleaner to read in PDF format. We've got these different elements like this overlay that's sort of making the images look cool and integrated into things. We've got these little geometric elements here, some other bits and bobs, some shiny space gizmos. So we'll be messing with those as we work on this. Got the text laid up, pretty finished for some of this. I want to put in a little thing up here, like a little call out. Some things that I want to do throughout this are put in sort of adventure call outs or random tables, other ideas. So some of what I want to work on today with you is filling some of this space. And honestly, if there's room and if there's time, even thinking about doing stuff in here like tables or other suggestions, names, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, like there's room right here for something for sure, like a adventure hook or something, which I think would be really cool. This one, definitely room for something else. Some of these sections are really short because it just says basically like use a background from 5e. I will look for places to put in things. Tech and trade. I really like how this layout works together. Anytime I'm doing a layout like this, I got to ask myself, does this look good as a 2-page spread, but also does it look good just in 1 page? Because that's how you're going to see it at first in the PDF, unless you set it up to look at it like this. So sometimes I'll do this, and it's like, yeah, this looks cool, and that looks cool. And then together, I think it's working really nicely. Okay, this is where we're at, and I'm actually really excited to do this live and to show you what I'm up to with this. I know this looks boring and looks like a ton of text, so what we'll be doing today is adding images and layout to this, kind of breaking it up, making sure it's just like really pleasant and interesting to read. We're also going to be writing a bit more of it. And this is like, actually, I need to move this guy down. We need another page at least of this, if not more. Um, this stuff is actually all new for this PDF. And I think it's really the most interesting new. I mean, it's mostly the only new material, but it's also really interesting because what this is the result of a lot of research that I did into into space opera and sword and sorcery. So space opera and sorcery, Prismanox Adventures. Someone had mentioned, I could look back at who it was. They sort of said like, how do I take any like standard D&D adventure and do it Prismanox way? And so this was really inspired by that comment and wanting to say like how would things feel more Prismanox? So how do you run adventures in Prismanox? It's the same as all good sword and sorcery. Keep the action high, the stakes personal, be very suspicious of powerful people with access to ancient magic, and make sure the player's jaws never stop dropping. Um, so then we've got these three themes, which are sort of like repeated over and over: visceral stakes, grandiose intrigue, and impossible horizons. A new thing called the adventure engine. And this is basically like what I did is I looked at the structure of sword and sorcery stories and the structure of space opera and tried to find a basic structure that felt true to both genres. So when you're planning an adventure, you can use this four-step process to come up with something that feels very Prismanox, and is pretty flexible. So first off, you cross paths and encounter the villain directly or an ally who has been harmed by the villain. You should feel personally offended by the villain. Or in a scenario with no villain, the character should encounter an adventure site that they can personally benefit from. You cross paths with someone or something. Then there's what's called an obstacle chase, which means difficult and dangerous travel to more than one location or multiple areas within one location. Um, you're progressing in order to get back at the villain or profit from the opportunity you've stumbled across. It's kind of another way of saying a dungeon crawl, but I think obstacle chase gives a different flavor to it. Then there's a grudge match. You're up against a villain or an opportunity that you care a lot about. Things escalate out of control into a crash landing where you go back to crossing paths with something new. So it's this like there's an encounter, an obstacle chase, a grudge match, and then a spiraling out of control that leads to new crossing paths. And this is the structure that will feel very Prismanox when you play it. Um, so, um, so I'm excited about this. I want to make this more visual and more interesting to look at because I think it's going to feel like useful material. And maybe I'll put some tables in here before I'm done. Um, and then space opera and sorcery. And so this is. Let me show you this actually. Let me see if I can pull this up really quick. I want to show you where this comes from. And probably I need to probably I need to do a better job of explaining what this is in this document. So, Prismanox represents a true blend of the tropes of space opera, sword, and sorcery. This section offers guidance for those who wish to fuse the two genres together based on deep research into the essence of both and the three pillars of play in 5e. So there's combat, heroes, villains, and visceral combat. There is intrigue, poverty, and grandiose role play, and surprise, awe, and impossible exploration. And so, what these are, let me show you this. Hang on, really quick while I pull this up in Google Drive. Get to the right account. Grandiose is the keyword I'll search for. Space opera and sorcery. Yeah. Okay. So check this out. This is how I do a lot of my design is through making tables and sort of cross comparing. I spend a lot of time in sheets actually as a game designer. Um, So basically, what I did is I did a bunch of research into space opera and sort of tried to get an idea of what's really important to space opera. So far-flung travel, you know, aliens, strange worlds, ships and battles, quests. Like this is all very space opera. This idea of blood on the palace steps, royalty and poverty, intrigue and suspense, melodrama and destiny, very space opera, and then high stakes. So uncommon heroes, oversized villains, worlds in peril. This all feels very space opera. And then Sword and Sorcery has these three themes that I've concluded after a lot of reading and research. Magic has a price, so it's irregular and unpredictable, personal and ritualistic, costly and corrupting. Civilization is strange, it's decadent and decaying, corrupt and menacing, ancient and complex, and personal stakes. So characters are focused on ambition and accomplishments, grudges and vengeance, conviction and compromise. And so what I did was put together space opera and sorcery to sort of try and make these into bigger, into like, how can I blend these things together? So travel and techno magic. Like, what would that look like? And I got these evocative titles out of this. So Exo Ruin Recon, doing recon in like a exo Space Ruin, Destination Oblivion, and Hotwired Sorcery. And these things are drawn out of this, right? So like aliens, irregular and unpredictable, Exo Ruin Recon. It's going to be a strange place you're going into. Ships and battles, personal and ritualistic. Like how can space travel feel um, like something more than just jumping on a spaceship and flying somewhere? Delve space and quests, costly and corrupting, hot wired sorcery. This idea of sort of just like you're hot wiring magic itself. And then did that for all of these. And then from there, moved it into these final phrases that you see here: impossible horizons, grandiose intrigue, and visceral stakes, which are the three. These are where all of these things sort of come from. Yeah, so that was the process for that, which was really cool to work on. Oh, Myth, you can't see the Google thing. That is good to know. Sorry, everyone. Let me try and share the thing I'm describing. That was a lot of me jabbering about something you couldn't see. Hang on. Share. Now you can see it. Okay. Sorry about that. Thanks for keeping me honest. Uh, so what I was saying was this is the space opera stuff. This is the sword and sorcery stuff. This is where I blended it together. And then this is the final language. And so each of these sort of like these I developed by themselves and then arranged them um, in the right order to sort of match up with each other. And then these are me trying to blend them together. And then this is me rewriting them in a way that is a little more, I don't know, will be easier to use in the final document. So this is how I do my genre blending in this case. Um, and so what we've got here now, I'll sort of slide this over to the side here. You can see um, uncommon ambition, in spite of gods, immovable objects. So you can see over here, uncommon ambition, grudges against gods became in spite of gods, immovable objects. Um, and so each of these, I am referencing what I was thinking about while I was writing those. So uncommon ambition, characters and NPCs in Prismanox are often driven by uncommon ambition. For characters, that looks like this, or that. And so trying to make it really playable information. Again, I think that this needs more images, ideally tables and bullets. It's a little just sort of like paragraphy right now, which is often not the most playable material, but I feel good about it doing a good job of explaining what space opera and sorcery is in its heart. Okay, so that's what we're up to. And I've drafted this first one on heroes, villains, and visceral combat. And I need to draft on intrigue, poverty, and grandiose role play, where we say focus on grandiose intrigue. Adventure should be tangled up with royalty and or prophecy, showing extremes between decadence and poverty. We've got the fate of empires, decadence, poverty, and the extremes of the river. Daggers in deep space, conspiracies, exoplanets, and royalty in hiding, prophet and prophecy, callings, commerce, and the lure of Ukothraxel. So it might not be the most interesting to watch, or maybe it will, but I'm going to try and write these on the stream. And then surprise, awe, and impossible explorations. Exploration should take you to impossible horizons, leading to at least 1 to 2 really surprising places that evoke sci-fi fantasy, ideally including a space location, a decadent location, and a ruined location. So here we've got Exo Ruin Recon, Destination Oblivion, Hotwired Sorcery. So going to be drafting all of that. Okay. So that's really what I want to focus on a lot today is trying to write those things. Then after that, I need to just move this guy. He's so cute and weird and ugly, but he's distracting and he'll come back. So then I've got some stand-in text here, which I need to write. And then we get into talking about Omniworld. Got the map, the river, Nightsgate, the Outer Wild Worlds, all this stuff. And then the list of the descriptions of the places. So you can see the layout is really falling apart down here. I also really want to expand on the villains, get more information on them and how that works in this document. So a lot of the delay has been just like, I just know I want to write more for all of this. And I feel like I just need to set aside time to get my head around it, which is what we're doing now. Also, monstrous modifications is a new section where I want to kind of write like, hey, in Prismanox, here's how to think about these things. Here's how they might be different than what you'd expect in other settings, which I think could be neat. And then I've really set myself up for something ridiculous, which is the Outer Worlds list. So let's see here. Got the map. And we've got all these like exoplanets along the dart ship paths out here. And what I wanted to do was write like a sentence or a phrase or a short something about each of these planets, which is probably a really bad idea. But you got the Anarch Imperium, got Ripsea, and then you got these stubs that are just Arctic desert, grassland, grassland, urban grassland. And so the idea was that I was going to write a little something for each one. I might really regret hoping to do that, but we'll see. We'll see if we can do it. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to come back to that. And then what else? Outer Worlds by environment, maybe. And then this is my list of notes from the Google Drive version I shared that people had comments on. This is my punch list of stuff I still want to put in the doc, which is talk about Spelljammer, Shadowrun, Netrunner, Dark Matter, Esper Genesis, also Masters of the Universe, Conan the Barbarian, Flash Gordon. As I've been working on this more, I've realized that Masters of the Universe and Flash Gordon are really great touchstones for this. I'm not suggesting that I'm not going to use any AI art in the book, but I was using it as a tool to just do some thinking and about trying to find like the look of the world, because we had such a kind of a limited art budget. We weren't able to commission as many pieces as I normally would want to, and we so there just like isn't as much Prismanox art to kind of make it really like come alive in the way that I felt like we were able to do for Plain Gia. So I was just trying to, for my own sake, think about what that might look like. And let me see what I can show you here. Hang on one second. Sorry, if you hate AI art, you're going to hate this next part of the stream. But I was just thinking about like retro futuristic fantasy, Dungeons Dragons, Dune, Flash Gordon, The Witcher, Masters of the Universe, and like obviously like there's a lot of sci-fi weird like mid-journey weirdness happening here. But, like this kind of stuff where it's less like pure sci-fi and more sort of this retro futuristic sort of silliness is maybe not the word I want exactly, but just like this feels distinct to me. This feels like something that isn't just Spelljammer or just Esper Genesis. I'm sure this setting probably exists and other people have already done this, but I think this idea of this sort of like Masters of the University kind of setting is cool and very much in the spirit of, I don't know, where I think the world could go. And this is helping me think about how I want to write for it. Um, Sort of like in the tone of some of this stuff. Yeah. So anyway, so I will mention like Flash Gordon and Masters of the Universe more at some point. I got to figure out where to fit that into the stuff. Describe tech levels, tech appearance, functionality, etc. Excuse me. So this is a good note. I need to put this up here on technology. Maybe this is where I get into the Flash Gordon stuff up here. And I'm just going to make this pink so I can see it later. Or maybe I'll make it yellow. Yeah. So sort of describe, let's like, how this stuff feels in that like Masters of the Universe, Sword and Sorcery kind of way. I want to write that in there. What else? Aesthetic guidance, same thing. Tech levels unevenly distributed by faction. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So I'll put that in the same place where it's like different factions will have different access to different tech levels. I think that's a really great note. I apologize. I don't really remember who wrote this stuff. So maybe it was me, maybe it was one of your all's notes. It's sort of like a mashup of everything that I took from the Google Doc. So if any of these are your notes, congratulations. I agree with you, and I'm super interested in that for this. World index at the back, that's what we're doing. More info on dungeon space. Actually, all of this is that. More info on dungeon space. So, or delve space is what it's actually called. So we'll find wherever I talk about that, and we can just expand on that section. Where do I talk about delve space? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so we can just write more for this section. Just put it in here. Make it pink. Okay, we'll come back to that. And then what else have I got? 3 good adventure formats for the setting. This is interesting, and ideas for how to modify and run common encounters in a space opera way. So that's kind of what I'm doing up here, but rereading that note from myself and or you all more, I think that maybe like the adventure engine is good, but it's kind of only one way of running, one like format for an adventure. If you do that every week, I could see that getting a little old. So I think that's probably worth thinking about. What are other adventure formats? I think that stuff is in here, and I think that's why I want to do more like adventure hooks and tables to make it a bit easier to think about how to run this for folks. Having an evil megacorp give us the contract for the mission. I do like that. That's very sort of Shadowrun, Netrunner. I probably don't need to like call that out specifically because it's kind of implied in some of the evil megacorp stuff. And then up for influences, going to add that to this setting. So actually, some of these quote unquote finished layouts are not finished because I'm going to need to add stuff to them. So we'll rework some of those. Okay, great. So that is the state of things. Feel free to ask questions in chat as I go. Happy to talk about what I'm doing. But I think what I want to try and do now is write this next section on intrigue, poverty, and grandiose role play. And what I always do for this is I always look back at what I wrote for the last section and get a sense of kind of what I was up to, so that it feels consistent from section to section and of similar quality. So I've got sort of a short statement. I think these guys are already written in. Yeah, okay, that's good. I don't need to write more words to say the same thing. So then I've got characters and uncommon ambition, how that applies to characters, NPCs, and monsters. In Spite of Gods is about how to run big villains, and Immovable Objects is about um, sort of characters' inner codes. Okay. So it's a lot about running characters. This is about combat and characters. Interesting. Okay, so this one is more about role play, um, intrigue, and poverty. Okay, let's just start drafting. Again, I don't know how interesting this is going to be to watch, but I'm really glad you're here. So let's see how this does. Fate of Empires. The ideas that we want to get across are decadence, poverty, and the extremes of the river. Hmm. Well, feel like it's something like Prismanox. See, I always do this. I always start in Prismanox, and I have to edit it out later because, of course, the whole books is in Prismanox. But it helps me to get started. Um, let's see. In Prismanox, um, wealth and poverty is extreme. The rich are decadent. And I can never spell emperor. The rich are decadent emperors. Um, corrupt lords, vast reaches of corrupt ruling families over great swaths of space. Um, uh, mega corporations. Nope, that's two. It's two Netrunner. Evil corporations motivated only by profit, while the common folks suffer in extreme poverty, um, living always a breath away from the edge of disaster, living one breath away from the edge of disaster. Let's see. Corporations. This inequality can fuel all kinds of adventure. Perhaps your characters are from a wealthy background and encountering injustice and poverty for the first time. Maybe they are common folk who have never glimpsed or imagined wealth and pomp of great houses. And the discovery of such inequality, of such not corruption, not waste, decadence, drives them to revolution. Or maybe the party is a mix of is, or most likely, party is an unlikely mix of people from the extremes, ends of power and privilege, coming together to save the nebula, despite their incredible differences. Okay, that's like fine. That's setting the flavor for the setting in terms of like how all that works. Um, as the GM, use these extremes to drive the story forward. Cause the characters to question their choices as they feast at the expense. The poor show the difference that a few coins dropped into. I don't know. This feels kind of icky. This feels not like what I want to say. Welcome to me writing setting stuff. This is, this is a lot of how it goes. Going down a road and then being like, this feels icky. All kinds of adventure and role play within the party. Perhaps the characters come from wealth. I do a lot of like micro editing while I'm kind of like brewing on the next thing I want to write. Come from wealth and are encountering injustice with poverty for the first time at your table. Get rid of that. Okay. This section is supposedly about role play. It's about grandiose intrigue. It's about tangled up with royalty or prophecy, showing the extremes between decadence and poverty. The Fate of Empires is the name of this section. When the adventures this I think what I really want to say here is something. This is my technique, because I often just think like, what do I really want to say, and then I just try and say that pretty much in as many words as that. I think what I really want to say is, when planning adventures, use these extremes to heighten tension, create contrast between the mighty and the weak, to stir characters' emotions and motivations. Remember, by embarking on the adventures you provide, the characters can upend the order of things, provide for the weak, provide for the poor, take the throne, whatever their grand ambitions are. This inequality and inequality creates a dramatic backdrop in which their actions, whether heroic or selfish, play out. I think that's fine. I think it's like, I didn't really get to the extremes of the river. Let me pull up the document I made one more time, and see if I'm missing anything important I wanted to put in there. So this one is royalty and poverty, decadent and decaying, the fate of empires. Sure. I don't call it the river specifically here, but I also don't really feel like that's central to what I want to say. So I'm not going to. All right. Cool. That's that section. All right. So this is what we're doing here. I hope you're doing something more interesting than just watching me, because it's a lot of me hemming and hawing and then typing and then deleting. Daggers in deep space, conspiracies, exoplanets, and royalties in hiding. Okay, I think this one's going to be able to be a bit more hands-on. Um, Space opera thrive. Space opera and sword and sorcery alike thrive on conspiracies, royalty in hiding, and strange places such as exoplanets, palaces, ruins, and drifting space wreckage. Plan adventures that use adventures can revolve around palace intrigue, plots to overthrow. Wow. Overthrow the mighty. I love the word mighty. I use it so often in my writing. Plots to overthrow. I want to not use it as a crutch. Plots to overthrow the powerful. The decadence of the decadence of rulers, and more. Throw. Explore. Surprise players with companions with hidden identities and agendas. Meet the most unlikely people. In the most unlikely of places. Unlikely. Draw players into plots, machinations that were set up millennia. Millennia? How do you spell millennia? I'll do a spell check for all of this later. Set up millennia ago, into which their actions become linchpins of greater. That's not how you say any of that. And have their actions change everything. Change or complete everything. This palace intrigue doesn't have to exist on the surface. Early adventures can be straightforward, calling the players into characters into strange places and situations where monsters lurk and treasure gleams. But as the campaign unfolds, more layers can be revealed. You can reveal more layers of the larger intrigue, melodrama into which they have unwittingly stumbled. And again, for all of this, I really think I need to put in like tables, bullet points, stuff that's actionable. This is all like great advice, but it's like, okay, but how do I do that? That's what I'm going to work on next. And maybe I'll do that to sort of show you how I do that. Still, I feel like for me, a lot of the times the hardest part is just like drafting this paragraph stuff. I can always add examples. I can always, but just like this like blah blah is first off, it shouldn't be blah blah, but it often is, or it starts that way. But just like the raw content is a lot of times what's hardest to draft, but really necessary to then like hang all of the hooks onto. Okay, good. Let me not slow down while I got momentum. So, profit and prophecy. This is callings, commerce, and the lure of Ucothraxel specifically. Okay. Let's take a look at my reference document, my sheet for this. What am I talking about here? Profit, promise, and Ucothraxel. Calling, commerce. Melodrama and destiny, ancient and complex, prophet and prophecy. Callings, commerce, and the lore of Ucothraxel. Okay. How about this? A cry for help from deep space. The chance to plunge elbow deep into glimmering gems. The lure of power from some twisted dimension. These and more stir the characters to great ambition in the forbidden nebula. It's very evocative. Use callings, commerce, and the lure of mysterious and dangerous magic to excite and entice your characters beyond the boundaries of the known world. Callings are callings are can be cries for help. I already said cry for help. Callings can take the form of distress signals. Callings can take the form of distress signals, requests from old mentors, beacons from long dead beings, and other messages that command immediate action from the characters. Callings can be vague, misleading, even nefarious, but they contain within them a specific quest or task or destination that drives direct action. Commerce, just rearranging this so it's one per. Commerce is the opportunity to expand the character's influence in the world. That's to extend influence in the world through trade and wealth. simple pull of treasure, loot, an impossibly valuable, an impossibly valuable something. I don't often do this, but I think I'm going to try it now. Do I have italics for this font? I don't even know if I do. I don't. I'm just going to use caps then. Possibly valuable something lying unclaimed in a shadowy place. These appeal to the character's self-interest and attaching a chance for wealth to a calling only doubles the draw of both. And then lure the characters to their destiny or doom with the promise of power beyond riches and morality, a summoning of the enticing siren of impossible abilities and understanding of the universe. For those characters not motivated by wealth and without moral obligations to help others, the promise of the temptation to look beyond what is into what could be is often too delicious, too enticing to ignore. Perhaps Ugothraxel draws them in their dreams. Perhaps they sense the untapped power in Starhenge. Ruins maybe a shadow of themselves from the multiverse beckons this unknown potential for power is itself a powerful tool in the DM's hands as you shape adventure. Okay. Whew. Hey Wick, yeah, this is for D&D. This is a space opera and sorcery setting. It's called Prismanox, and I kickstarted a little while ago. It's actually an entire setting on a movie poster, and here's its weird, cool map. And so I am working on the PDF for people who backed the campaign, and really eventually anyone to be able to sort of like tap into what the world is. So that is what I'm up to. And basically I'm sort of adding and expanding to the material that was on the movie poster PDF, and I just finished drafting this section, which is good. It's one of the biggest sections I have left to draft. I still have one more part to do here, but I'm going to take a pause on that. Thanks, I think it's cool too. I'm going to take a pause on that because I've just been sitting here muttering to myself as I'm quietly sort of like writing these. And I thought instead of continuing to do that, what I might do is go ahead and add some tables and some hooks to this to make it really useful at the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my table format, grab this guy, copy paste this format. So let's look at the first one we have here, Uncommon Ambition. And we're going to have something. I use TK. It's like a I worked at a magazine, and TK means to come, and it's misspelled on purpose to drive editors crazy, so that it doesn't find its way into the final stuff. So TK is my like, this has got to be replaced shorthand. Why isn't that clicking inside of this? There it is. Okay. So maybe what we'll just do for this is do maybe just a table. So we'll do like a, I don't know, D10. D10 table and ambitions. Why not? Okay. I'm going to add 6 rows to this. Insert row 6 below. Okay. All right. So then we'll just do this. Get these numbered. So this section is all about how grand ambitions drive cool player choices and cool monster actions. So we're just going to give a list of potential ambitions that things and people could have. I think I need a table. Do I have a table heading thing? I don't. Table style. Ambitions. All right, so let's Wick says, I didn't realize there were futuristic models for D&D. Yeah, it's kind of really cool to play with this stuff. So originally, the game was made when there wasn't really a division between fantasy and sci-fi. Like you just like mix all those things together. Think of like Flash Gordon or like Expedition to Barrier Peak, like all this sort of like combo sword and sorcery and sci-fi stuff. So this is kind of in the spirit of that. But if you're interested in sci-fi stuff for D&D, there is also a lot of stuff that is fully out there and great that I strongly recommend. Esper Genesis is one of the best things that I could possibly point you to, which is heroic sci-fi role playing. It is Mass Effect for D&D, and it's like there's all these different products. They have rule books and adventures and resources. It's like really, really super cool. It's like if you want to play in space, it's awesome. There's also I think there's Star Wars 5e, isn't there? I think. Yeah, this is a thing that is really sort of well put together, really well thought through. Whether you want to play in Star Wars or not, there's a lot of material here that you can use, and there's a bunch of other stuff. So this is my version of this. I actually made this when Spelljammer was coming out because I wasn't super excited for how Spelljammer was looking. So I built this, and we kickstarted it, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. It's got guys like this in it. So now I'm working on the DM section of this document to make some ambitions. Now I'm just thinking about this, and I want to make sure the point of this section, right, is this is the DM guidance, DM tools, and is a listed ambitions the most useful thing I can put here? I'm not sure it is. I got to think about this. I think that there's a chart in the DMG that I really like, which is like villains, like goals and methods, which is kind of in this neighborhood. This already has a bunch of kind of like ideas for the kinds of ambitions things could have. I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I think listing ambitions feels good here. I'm going to do this, and then I can always change it later if I don't like it. But I usually do 1 to 10. 1 is like the worst, 10 is like the best. So I'm going to say like destroy all life in the nebula. Um, destroy all life in the multiverse. And then the 10th is like establish universal perfection throughout the multiverse. So that's worst to best. I think if I was doing this setting at a deeper level, I might have ambitions by alignment, but I'm not doing that right now. So I think for this, I could be like, become the wealthiest, wealthiest being in existence. Take care, Wick. Thanks for stopping by. Become the wealthiest being in existence. Seven's already there. Destroy life in the multiverse, become the wealthiest being in existence. Let's see, like resurrect or summon a dark power. Let's see, what else? Restore life to a barren world. Claim a lost or shattered artifact. Maybe become a weasel. Travel through time to alter the past. That's going to cause problems because there are no mechanics for time travel here. Destroy life in the multiverse, resurrect or summon a dark power. Rain destruction on a hated enemy. Rain down on a hated enemy. Claim a lost or shattered artifact. Become the wealthiest being in existence. Make a life-altering discovery. Make a reality-altering discovery. Let's see. Right a past wrong. That's not an uncommon ambition. Let's see. Become beloved by all across. Become beloved by all life forms. Become beloved by all life forms. Sure. It's weird. I like weird. So like to a barren world. By all creatures. By all beings. Restore life to a barren world. And then 9 should be something that's like mostly really good. Something chaotic though. Break a shatter an evil, shatter an unstoppable, avert an unstoppable disaster. Yeah, okay. Avert or cause an unstoppable disaster. For an unstoppable disaster. Establish perfection. Sure. I feel like these are fairly useful at the table because they'll kind of give you the big weird idea. Let's try it. A lot of this stuff has to do with testing stuff at the table. So let's just imagine that we are making a PC and I say, hey, guys, we're going to use PCs. I got this table of uncommon ambitions. I want you all to roll on it and see what the party's goal is. So let's say we have 3 players. We're going to roll 3d10. You got a player who wants to become beloved by all beings, probably a bard. A player who wants to become the wealthiest being in existence, and a player who wants to restore life to a barren world. And I feel like, how about this? I say like roll on the table below when creating characters or villains. Use the results to inspire your adventures. Perhaps the party gathers because they share a goal, their interests are aligned, or they can help each other reach their ends, or have sworn to reform each other before they bring about disaster. For a villain, rolling once or twice on this table can help define their objective and ultimate motivation, although this may be hidden from the party, from the characters at the start of the adventure. Okay, cool. So yeah, so let's try this again. So let's say you got, I'm going to roll for my villain, and then I'm going to roll for a party of 3 again. Actually, I like this party that we've already got. So got a party who wants to become beloved by all things, become the wealthiest being in existence, and restore life to a barren world. So maybe the way they want to get together is there's this exoplanet that if they restore it, they'll be super rich and they'll be like beloved because it's a planet that's really worth restoring into existence. And they're opposed by a villain who wants to resurrect or summon a dark power. So like right here, I'm going to just write this, for example. Maybe this is how this stuff becomes useful. For example, I'm just going to make a new text format. Let's call this. Let's make an example right now. I'm going to also redefine lists to be white. Oh, that's not what I want. Redefine table of contents stuff to be white. All right, but I'm going to make this a paragraph, and I'm going to make it a new kind of a thing that is smaller and bumped in. Okay. And then I'll do this. I'll do example. A party rolls a 5, 7, and 8 for their characters. They want to become wealthy, beloved, and restore life to a barren world. As the DM, you could set up an adventure where they hear about a world that set up an adventure built around the idea that they are seeking to bring a dead planet back into bloom, which would make them heroes of the multiverse and create incredible wealth. Then you could roll for the villain and get a 2, showing that they want to resurrect or summon a dark power. The villain then could want to restore the same planet, not to bring back life, but because it is the dwelling place of an ancient evil. This conflict could drive amazing adventure. Could originally aid the party as they drive an amazing adventure. Okay, I don't know, sure. I hadn't planned to have adventure like examples like this, but I think it kind of shows how to use the material in a fun way and also breaks up the visuals. I feel like yeah, there's still a lot of like blah 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 here, but in terms of like long words, a lot of words, but it's kind of okay, I think, because it has this stuff now. All right. Yeah. Okay, so then I would want to kind of repeat this, right, for the next section. Not repeat the content, obviously, but repeat the format. So, in spite of gods, we would do what's in spite of gods about? Things are oversized, big villains, personal grudges. The villain is responsible for the death of the hero's family. Villain killed the hero's family, the character's family. Villain. This is what I often do: is I write the first and last entries, and then find sort of the middle point between them, and fill it out like that. The villain is the antithesis of everything the character stands for. The villain insulted the character. Villain harmed an innocent person the character cares about. The villain claimed. The villain stole a treasure. Stole something. Stole something invaluable from the character. Insulted or mocked the character. Villain threatens something the character loves. Villain's plans threaten something the character loves. The villain corrupted someone important to the character. Someone or something important to the character. Hey, buddy, I'm doing a live stream right now. I'm on the camera. It's okay. Let's see. The villain. What else? Harmed an innocent person. Plans threaten something the character loves. Villain. What's something pettier or something like not silly, but like grounded? Villain corrupted something important to the character. The villain impeded. The villain prevented the character from getting something they want. They desperately want. The villain something kind of noble and lofty. The villain What are grudges? What are reasons for grudges? I'm just going to Google really quick. Reasons for grudges. Five common reasons we hold grudges. Misunderstandings and assumptions. Hey, Samuel. Welcome to the chat. Unrealistic expectations, feeling left out. Maybe like the villain betrayed the character. Betrayed or abandoned the character. That's pretty good. And then this other one, harmed someone the character cares about. All right, go back to the reasons for grudges, being discussed and reaching a limit, and the villain has something the character covets. Okay, cool. So these are the reasons for some reasons for grudges. Let's go ahead and roll. So party rolls. Let's do this again. See what they roll. Whoa, okay. Okay, so the party's gonna, let's say 3 characters. They roll an 8, 3, and a 4. 3, 8, and a 4. 3, 4, and 8 for their characters. They hate the villain because the villain corrupted and stole things they cared about, and because their future plans threaten something the character loves. Perhaps the villain turned a former ally into their henchman, plundered family treasure, house, and plans to use the stolen goods and the help of the corrupted former ally to destroy the home of the third character. Yeah, something like that. That feels table worthy. I'll put another thing on here. Use the table below to inspire reasons why characters might be willing to pursue their grudge to the end of the multiverse, even against enemies far too powerful for them to confront, at least for now. Sure. Okay. So again, the whole point here is making stuff that's really useful. Right? So now we've got this idea of got ambitions, character ambitions. Oh, you know what? We'll just go ahead and roll. You can also use this table to roll for why a villain might hate the characters as well, for a more complex villain hero interaction. So if you do that, then you have to just really change this from the villain killed a character's family to like they killed my family. They killed my family. They prevented me from getting something I desperately want. This is a little more interesting too. Hang on one second, everyone. Just one moment. Oh, okay. Hello. That's for you. Something. That's my awesome wife. She's the best. They prevented me from getting something I desperately want. They corrupted or someone or something important to me. So we're going to change it from the villain to the villain, the character, to they and me. And they stole something invaluable from me. This is why you playtest, and playtesting can just be rolling dice and trying to think about how it works, because now this table is going to be a lot more useful, because you can use it from the player's point of view or from the villain's point of view to make a more interesting interaction. They harmed someone I care about. Harmed. They have something I covet. My covet's precious. Their plans threaten something I love. They betrayed or abandoned me. They are the antithesis of everything I stand for. Okay. So now, hey, Chris, found me that the link on the email is broken, at least on mobile. Oh, okay, great point. I will send out a quick update on this. Hide, share, copy this link. I'm just going to send that out again because I'm sure you're right. Let's try this again. I'll go to Kickstarter. Go to Prismanox. I'll go to post update. Sorry, wrong link. Try this one. Boom. Publish. Sometimes we're going to do it like this. Okay. Okay, so now, thanks for that note. All right, let's try this again. The party rolls for their characters. They hate the villain because of this. But when we roll for the villain and they get what do they get? Let's see, drum roll, please. They get a 9. 9, we discover that the villain feels that at least one character betrayed or abandoned them. So perhaps backstory is longer and more complicated than the characters originally suspect. Dun dun dun! Okay, cool. So now we've got a table for ambitions, got a table for grudges. Both of these seem to be working and making cool adventure material. I love it when this works. Okay, cool. Great. I'm glad the link works now. That's awesome. We're going for an hour and 18. This is good. We're getting stuff done. Let's do a third one because I'm really enjoying this part of the process. Immovable objects. Even if the characters are low level, their actions can matter at a huge scale. Imperil worlds, put the characters where nobody else can avert disaster. What are the big disasters? Get curious about the characters' inner gravity, their personal code, and what matters most to them. Try having your characters write down a few things that they will not stand for, lines they'll never cross, and build scenarios to put the spotlight on what matters most to the characters. Does the character care most about exoplanets and animals? Create a multi-planet blight that can only be stopped by delving into a ruin. So this is already a lot of examples already in here. So then, since we've got a bunch of examples, it's a question of how do we, what are we providing here to inspire play? Maybe it's not how these things come into conflict. Let's see, movable objects, doomsday apparatus, big plots, immovable, maybe like massive threats. What's going to be the best thing here? So what I'm trying to do for those who just joined is create a little table of examples for each of these sections of DM advice. And the first two went well, and then I'm trying to figure out what this section should be. Because there's a lot of examples already in the text. Actions can matter at a huge scale. It's almost like try having your players write down a few things that their characters will not stand for, lines they will never cross. Maybe like sources of conflict. The threat. I don't know. This is going to be kind of a little bit redundant. I was going to say like the threat jeopardizes what I love, but that's basically like what the example is. Maybe it's something like the. What would I actually, if I was using this, what would I be excited to read here? Kinds of danger or like sources of harm. I think like villainous plots basically is what I would want, right? Like plots and threats. Hired killers at large, world destroying machine, virus or blight released, killer, frenzy inducing, like biomutating agent, about source of mutation activated, mutating power, mutating radiation device activated. Sure. How about what else can we do here? Maybe something with personality altering curse imposed. What other kinds of bad things can happen? Invading fleet army, monsters let loose, what else? Environmental disaster, like freezing or elemental disaster, freezing, burning, etc. Showing machine started. I think I don't need uncontrolled. What else? Cult. Insidious cult spreading. And one more we could do Disastrous, siren, luring, innocence. Siren, luring, innocence to disaster. Sure. To doom. Okay. Use the plots and threats table below to inspire some of the massive dangers that might that the players might encounter or uncover during their adventures. For a twist, you can also set these up as villainous plots that the characters are framed for or accidentally unleash due to intrigue and betrayal by evil by their foes. Intrigue and betrayal by their foes. So, we could roll twice on this table to establish what characters are confronting when they accidentally unleash a second, more terrible evil. For example, if we roll let's roll 2d10, an 8 and a 7. They could be racing to stop an invading fleet or army when they activate a beacon that destroys invaders, that halts invasion, but turns everyone on the planet into mind-controlled thralls of the powerful villain. Rogue planets flying through system was an idea. That's cool, Chris. Should we put this in here? And are any of these redundant? Rogue planets flying through system. Invading fleet army. Disaster. World destroying. Yeah, I think that'd be good. I'd probably be good with this 10, but I think you could do Rogue Planet as an elemental disaster or a world destroying machine. But that's a cool one. Samuel says, there's a thing I didn't quite grasp. The setting, it's completely sci-fi and all magic is advanced technology and science, advanced along magic, words of power, etc. Yeah, it's a good question. I think I want to be a little bit more specific about that in this material. I was saying this earlier in the stream, but as I've been thinking about the aesthetics of Prismanox more, I think more and more I'm kind of leaning into Masters of the Universe or Flash Gordon, where it's sort of that like over the top like planetary romance is I think kind of the name of the genre, the subgenre. So let me see if I can find this. I was showing this earlier. Hang on one second. I'm just gonna pull this up. I was using Midjourney not for material that's going to be in the final material. There will be no AI art in the book, but I was using Midjourney to do some world building and creating an image in my mind. And what felt like it was closest was this prompt where it's like multiracial retro futuristic fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, Dune, Flash Gordon, The Witcher, Masters of the Universe. And this sort of got to this feeling of being sort of like, I love the aviators, AI is so weird. Being like retro futuristic, fantastic, um, and kind of over the top and embracing both fantasy and sci-fi. This feels like more and more what I think Prismanox should feel like, right? Where you could have like this could be a character or an NPC, where it's like, yes, I have armor and a sword, and I'm in front of a spaceport, where you've kind of got the sorceress and the barbarian and the like space wizard kind of thing. I think, the ancient armor that is also a power suit. Also, isn't that Sean Connery, and why? Um, so I think that this is what I am writing to more and more now, is like this feeling of sort of like retro futuristic fantasy. This feels like very on point. So if I had a much larger art budget, I would commission a bunch of pieces like these, because I feel like this is something that's a little bit more specific and a little bit less vague than what's written in the book right now. And I'm gonna try and like do a little bit more explicit writing of, this is the vibe. So I hope that helps. It's something I've been thinking about a lot as I've been working on this. um, yeah, here's like influences: Dune, Conan, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, The Witcher, Masters of the Universe. I feel like that's kind of like that mashup is what I'm going for with this. All right. Well, look, we've been on for a long time. Maybe it would be nice to break some of this up and do some layout stuff just to kind of get it fresh. Because especially if you join the last hour or so, I've just been doing words. Um, so let me. I don't want all of this stuff here to just be text only, obviously, because I just feel like that's hard to read. Let me see if I can go into my art folder and find some good images to put in here. Prismanox art folder. Where are you? Here you are. Okay. See what we haven't used yet. We've used a lot of our licensed stuff in the layout so far. We've got a lot of PCs we haven't used yet. Let's bring in one of my favorite pieces, which is this multiversal sorcerer, doesn't matter, right here. She's so cool. They're so cool. Um, I just love this piece. I would just love to use this as a whole page thing, but I gotta not do that because then I will not solve my my layout problem. Um, let's just try putting them here, and then doing that. So you can do subject aware text wrapping like this, where it kind of detects the subject and wrap stuff around it. It kind of works. It's also kind of really janky. This stuff is kind of neat over here. A little iffy. I think I would have to like mess with that a lot to get it to work. I can also do this where I put a box behind this and text wrap that as well. So then it's more like that. That's kind of cool. I could see that working. Um, maybe. Has it been, when's the last time we did a person? We have that person there. I guess I've been using them as I go. So we're not star people. Oh, I lost my little guy here. Hang on, I gotta undo some of this because there's a little guy up there that I super love. Um, delete. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Sorry. This is the glamorous of layout. There he is. He's not going away. I love him. Okay. Put our sorcerer in here. Get them the right size. Put them like that. we'll go ahead and do the, oh, no, that's not what I want. Where's the cool? Hey, wait a minute, where'd that wrap to image stuff go? I guess that went away. Okay, fine. Sometimes some of these new like AI based or really smart options are a little bit tricky to track down for me. They can like move off. They like pop up contextually and then sometimes they just go away again. And often I don't feel like fighting them and finding them again, tracking them down. So I'll just move on and do a different. I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm just doing it myself, which actually gives me more control over the layout in a way that I like. Okay, so I do think that I still have this note to myself of things that I want to um, add to this. Some of that I feel like we're getting through these like example tables and stuff, but I'm not going to delete the note yet because I just want to double check it after we're done here and make sure that it feels like we're really covering all of that stuff. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is grab both of these things, group them, and then size them down together. Here we go. Because I don't really want that. There we go. Okay. I just had like one line floating up here and I didn't love that. Also, for the adventure engine, these little titles, they're too small for me. I don't think they're useful at their current size. So I'm going to look up, this is what, H2? So I've got my paragraph styles over here. So that's H2. Then I'm going to go ahead and make this H3. And I'm going to make sure that H3 always stays with the next line. Keep with next one line. You should never have a heading just by itself. And then I'm going to go through these, make these all first paragraphs so they don't have that indent. And then I'll do the same thing for these, H3, just to make it a little bit easier to read. I think it was kind of buried before. Also, breaking up the text like this makes it a little bit more interesting of a layout. Okay, cool. Good. So now I can make this one bigger, I think. And I can bring this, nope, I can bring this down. Yep. Okay, starting to feel kind of good. Let's see, where's the... Starting to lose my voice a little bit. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to stream, but I am planning on keeping on working on Prismanox for the rest of the day. So I hope that seeing this is encouraging to you. It's encouraging to me, and it's fun, so fun to work on this stuff. And actually has really helped me to do it sort of out loud with you all so that I can, I don't know, sometimes it helps to talk stuff out loud. I feel like that's pretty good. I think I'm missing my page numbers. Yes, I am. So let's make sure those are on every page. Paste in place. Oh, where'd you go? Paste. There you are. Page numbers. Paste in place. Good. Paste in place. So see this? This is called an orphan. I don't like it being over here by itself. Let me just scrunch those together. There we go. But now that's put that up there by itself, which I also don't like. So a lot of the layout stuff is just this. It's like fiddling with this. And I'm trying to decide if like remember you're playing two is kind of nice up there by itself, or if it's not. I think it's not. So I'm going to keep on moving this around until the layout kind of plays the way I want it to. Yeah, okay, this feels good. I really like how this piece is kind of messing with the text because that feels feels right for the text. Feels right for the piece. Okay. Now I feel like I'm liking how this layout is coming together. It's looking cool. I think it's missing a little bit of interest. Like, see how all these have some other stuff going on. So I'm gonna look and see what I can grab. Honestly, I might create just some sort of generic base background stuff to put in. I'm kind of using this pattern, subtle, but it's back here. Let's see if I can find where is it? This guy. Using this in a lot of places to create that kind of like visual interest. So probably bring that back in. I want to be careful not to like over rely on this and have it on every page. So I'm going to try and turn it so it's in a different orientation than it's been, and then put it mostly off the page that really our sorcerer can just feel awesome by themselves. Okay, let's see. I think this angle is kind of weird with the angled pluses, so I'm gonna make it not like that. Do this. Is that good? Is that too busy? It's a little too busy. I really just want to like a little bit. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty good. So like that's how I do a layout, right? Is I just mess with it a little bit until it starts to feel right. And there's some details here that I'm still not loving. Like for example, I'm going to ungroup these if I can remember the shortcut. Here it is. So I'm going to lock her so she doesn't move around too much. And then I'm just going to bring this out a little bit, which of course is going to alter everything, but actually it didn't break it. I still like how it's looking overall. And yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah. So like you can see here, I've got this note here. Anywhere I have these notes or this blank space, I'm going to probably try and plop in a little like adventure hook. So maybe I can just go ahead and find a good layout element for that now. I'm going to go over here in my secret folder of design elements. Find one. Kickstarter graphics, is it in here? Or are these like specifically? Let's see, I've got these things I use for the reward tiers on the Kickstarter, which maybe would work well. Let's see how they look in here. Where is this? Not now. I'll pull this in here and see how it looks. Whoa, it's big. So it's this kind of thing. No, I don't like that. That's not going to work for me. I have them all. I have like a whole package of like graphics like that. And I don't know where it is. I got to find it again. Give me a minute here while I dig through my stuff. Oh yeah, I forgot I got all this. Sorry, I'll show you. Why not show you? So I have all of these materials which I found, bought, licensed, sort of dress up these layouts. A lot of oh yeah, see, I should be using these more. I'm kind of just using the one element and I should be using all of them. Oh, this is cool. I think this is more of what I had in mind. So maybe I'll use this one. Open up Illustrator, pull it in, and then I can plop some text in there. Give that a shot. This is also where I have my hand-drawn polygons. I know you guys probably thought I was drawing all of this and making it all myself. I'm so sorry if I've broken your heart with that, but a lot of this stuff is just stuff you find sort of collage. I feel like digital design is a lot like collage, actually. I honestly forgot that I licensed all of these pieces, so I'm definitely going to have to bring a lot more of these in. Okay, let me grab this guy. Okay, thank you. Yes, Adobe's great. Close. Get rid of the text that's in it. Sorry, I'm over on my other screen, but I'll drag it over here and you'll see what I'm up to in a second here. Delete. Let's go ahead and make these. Sorry, I'm just solving a little technical issue over here. Replacing a font that is missing with something that I have a copy of. Super exciting. I guess I could do this over here. So this is the piece that I'm looking at, and I have to see over here how these are like highlighted pink. I have to replace those fonts. Find and replace fonts. Open sans. We'll just do this. Change all. Change all. Change all. Done. Okay. Now these are all fine. I'm gonna grab this, copy it, paste it in here. It has an embedded EPS, which is actually fine. Resize it out to here. Okay, I like this. I just don't know how I like it. I just don't like how it looks, which is silly to say. What I think I want to do is export selection as a PNG. I'll just do that, I guess, on my desktop. Export, replace, okay. And then I'll go ahead and place desktop 4x this, open, go. Yeah. Okay, this is what I wanted. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if I'm committing to this forever, but I think something like this. And then the idea is that inside of this, I would create its own little type style, and it would say something like adventure hook, like adventure log. A planet full of magic beans has fallen into the hands of a chicken people, and they need your help to undo the time loop before the Gerschnippel snap. I don't care. Yeah, although maybe what I should do is use the example file that I made. This, the example text, boop, doop, doop, doop. And then we'll also definitely do this in a color, and I'll pick the color later. It won't actually be any of these colors. Yeah, I think having like, the idea is, and clearly I still need to do some work on it, but the idea is that I'll have sort of these like adventure hooks or little tidbits throughout the document, which is an added value from the movie poster. So you'll have a bunch of like campaign ideas, adventure ideas, material, like playable material scattered throughout. I don't know that it'll be like one per spread like we're showing here, but I don't know, depending on how much empty space there is. I mean, I really, really want for this book to be super useful, really fun at the table. So actually, this is working better than I thought. I do want to alter the colors because that doesn't feel like the sort of dull stuff isn't very Prismanoxy. But I think this is a nice shape. It's a nice amount of text to have to write to. So yeah, that is that's the work that I'm doing. In case you're like, why isn't the book out yet? It's because this is the kind of stuff I'm trying to figure out in general, uh, and sort of write to, and then the layout that I'm trying to do. So I promise the the lateness has a reason. It's because I'm doing all of this stuff behind the scenes. Um, uh, Chris is a player at my table IRL. Says I've seen your hand drawn stuff, and yeah, it does not look as nice as all of this. Samael says, little curiosity. I like many aspects of 5e, but not the system as a whole. What if I would convert the setting into other systems? Would you recommend? I'm reading Shadow of the Demon Lord, but I've never tried. It's a great question. I think Prismanox is perfect for bringing to another system because it actually isn't that deep on 5e mechanics. It's kind of like, choose a race, and then the races are all sort of 5e races that you would expect to find other places. Here, use the weapons, but maybe alter them a little bit. All of this stuff is really more world building than mechanical. And even the stuff that is quote unquote mechanical, like these grudges and whatever, like that's not system specific at all, right? So you could totally take that and import it somewhere else. So I think you are super duper welcome to use that anywhere you like in any system you choose. In terms of which system, I think that it really depends on the flavor of fantasy or sci-fi that you like. Like you could use Starfinder, the Pathfinder space one. You could use Esper Genesis, which is 5e sci-fi. You could use something OSR like Shadow of the Demon Lord or Shadow Dark or something old school, like old school essentials. Like you can use any system that you want. Like you could use Dread, you could use Fate, you can use kind of any system. Since the world building is kind of what this document is, and then it's really depends on your play style and what you like at the table. I think to choose how you want to run it. Okay, I've been talking for almost 2 hours. Lose my voice. Hopefully, this is cool to sort of see behind the scenes, both how I'm writing and how I'm laying out, what I'm kind of prioritizing. Again, I'm just like, I want this to be really great, really, really fun for you all. So I hope that this is exciting to see. It's definitely not going fast, but I think that the material when it's done is going to be really, really fun, hopefully at the table and can provoke a lot of ideas. And so that's it. I think I'm going to end the stream here. If you have any questions, there's a Discord, which if you don't know where that is, you can look for the Plain Gia Discord over on, where is it? reddit.com/r/plaingia. That will definitely have a link to the Discord where we also talk about Prismanox. And I'm here for you. I'd love to hang out more. This is a lot of fun. Yeah, Chris, ML, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for everyone who popped in and out, and to everyone who's seeing this video later. I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, thanks for coming into the mess. And I'll see you soon in the Forbidden Nebula. Take care, everybody.